ever get a song stuck in your head, but like in a good way?
Yeah.
That's kind of what we're diving into today. The surprisingly deep history of Caramelldansen.
Oh, nice.
You've heard it right.
Yeah.
Maybe even busted at the dance moves.
Maybe.
But this isn't just some internet fad. Get ready to travel back to the early days of memes, because this song's journey is a wild one.
It really is. It's a fascinating case study in pre-TikTok virality. Like, we're talking about a time when things spread organically through online communities.
Yeah.
And a whole lot of chance encounters.
Yeah, and we've got a whole stack of articles, forum threads, the works. So no pressure, but we're basically time traveling for this deep dive.
Let's do it.
Okay, so for anyone who hasn't experienced the joy of Caramelldansen, think catchy, high-pitched vocals and a dance that's equal parts adorable and ridiculous. With like bunny ear hand motions, you can't help but smile.
It's incredibly infectious.
Yeah.
Though most people might be surprised to learn, the song actually existed years before the meme took off.
Wait, seriously?
Yeah.
I always assumed it was just some internet creation that appeared out of thin air.
Not quite. Caramelldansen was originally released in 2001 by a Swedish pop group, Caramel. It was on their album Supergot, which, sadly for them, didn't exactly set the charts on fire.
Supergot.
Yeah.
I love it.
Haha.
Okay, so the album flopped, which, if I'm following along correctly, means this whole Caramelldansen thing is like the ultimate underdog story.
Exactly. Caramel actually disbanded in 2002, long before their song found global fame. It's a testament to the unpredictable nature of the internet and how something can be forgotten one minute, then resurrected and shared by millions the next.
Yeah. Can you imagine being one of the original artists? You've moved on. Maybe you're writing jingles for toothpaste commercials.
Right.
And then bam, your song from years ago is suddenly everywhere.
Yeah, it seems the original artists were definitely taken by surprise. Juha Millila, who went by Millboy in the group, even mentioned in an interview that he first stumbled upon the Caramelldansen craze on YouTube, just like anyone else. He actually found it quite amusing, even admitting to doing the dance himself in the shower.
Right. See, everyone secretly loves it. Even if it starts as a solo shower routine, this thing goes global. So how do we get from a forgotten Swedish pop song to a full-blown internet sensation? There's got to be a missing link somewhere.
The missing link takes us to Japan and a genre of video game. You might not be familiar with visual novels.
Okay, I'm intrigued. I definitely played my fair share of games, but visual novels aren't really on my radar. Is that like those choose-your-own-adventure books, but with more anime?
You're on the right track. Visual novels are interactive stories, heavy on the visuals, often with branching narratives, where your choices impact what happens.
Okay.
And yeah, they're hugely popular in Japan, often adapted into anime series.
Got it. So are we talking about some epic dance battle in one of these visual novels? How does Caramelldansen fit in?
The visual novel itself isn't about dancing. The connection comes from a particular game, Popotan, which was adapted into an anime series in 2003.
Oh, eh?
Someone created these simple but adorable animated GIFs of two characters, May and me, doing a little dance.
And this was completely separate from the song at first.
Absolutely. Two different corners of the internet, totally unaware of each other. But here's where things get really interesting.
Okay.
In 2005, a DJ named Speedy Cake accidentally created a sped-up version of Caramelldansen while mixing.
Not by accident.
It seems that way. Speedy Cake has talked about how it was a mistake, but people loved it. It was like the song had been waiting for that extra bit of energy.
Okay, so we've got a sped-up remix and these cute anime dance GIFs. I'm guessing this is where someone connects the dots.
Enter a mysterious figure known only as Sven from Sweden.
Sven from Sweden.
Yeah. In what could be considered a stroke of internet genius, Sven combined Speedy Cake's remixed track with the Popotan dance GIF and uploaded it for the world to see.
And that's how it went viral. From one Sven in Sweden, that's wild.
It's a testament to how these things spread in the early days of the internet. Sven himself has said that he doesn't even remember where he found the sped-up version of the song, just that it was somewhere out there, in the vast digital ether.
It feels so wonderfully chaotic. No algorithms pushing things on you. Just pure accidental discovery. Kind of makes you nostalgic for those simpler times, in a weird way.
Right.
But if I'm remembering correctly, there was one website in particular where this kind of thing was guaranteed to spread like wildfire.
You're thinking of 4chan, right?
Nailed it. Yeah. For those who don't know, 4chan in the early 2000s, imagine the Wild West. Online. It was a breeding ground for memes, for better or worse. Something could capture the attention of 4chan. It had the potential to explode.
And explode it did.
Right.
By 2007, Caramelldansen was everywhere. Not just on 4chan, but spreading across the internet like a joyful virus. Japan embraced it wholeheartedly. YouTube became a showcase for user-generated dance videos. People were even animating their favorite characters doing the dance.
Don't forget the furry fandom.
Yeah.
They went all in on Caramelldansen,
Oh, yeah?
creating some truly creative interpretations. But this global takeover wasn't just a straight line, was it? There were some interesting cultural twists and turns along the way.
Yeah, you're right. It wasn't just a straight line to global domination for Caramelldansen. The song took on a life of its own, especially in Japan.
That's what I'm talking about. Tell me about the whole uma phenomenon. Did Japanese listeners just collectively mishear the lyrics?
It's a classic case of language playing tricks on the ears. In the original Swedish lyrics, there's a part that sounds like yuao to Japanese listeners. This sounded a whole lot like uma, which translates to horse in Japanese.
So instead of just being a catchy song, suddenly it's got this whole horse-themed layer to it. That's hilarious.
Yeah, it's a perfect example of how memes evolve and take on new meanings as they spread across cultures and languages. There's also the balsamic vinegar connection, which is a whole other layer of linguistic confusion. But we might not have time to dive into that one.
Maybe we'll save that for a future deep dive.
Yeah.
The internet is an endless source of rabbit holes, isn't it? But speaking of cultural twists and turns, this is where things get a little more complicated, right? Like, who actually benefited from this global Caramelldansen craze?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? The song's explosion in popularity caught the attention of a Japanese record label called Exit Tunes. And this is where the story takes a turn into ethically murky territory.
Okay, so we've got a Japanese record label, a Swedish pop song that's become a global phenomenon. What happens next?
Exit Tunes saw an opportunity. They acquired the rights to Caramelldansen and began releasing their own sped-up versions, essentially capitalizing on the remix that DJ Speedy Cake had created accidentally.
So they're profiting from someone else's happy accident.
In essence, yes. They released an entire album of meme songs, including their version of Caramelldansen, which they titled Uma, leaning into that Japanese interpretation we discussed. And it was a smash hit. Their album charted in Japan, and the Uma single performed incredibly well.
Wow, so they're raking it in.
Yeah.
But what about the original artists, Caramel? Were they getting any of this recognition or financial reward?
That's the heart of the controversy. Exit Tunes went a step further and created a virtual group called the Caramella Girls. Imagine anime-style characters designed to embody the whole Caramelldansen aesthetic. They released multiple versions of the song in different languages, even a Christmas version. There was even a rhythm game for your phone, where you could tap along to the beat as the Caramella Girls did their thing.
It's like they created a whole Caramelldansen empire, but built on someone else's foundation.
It's a fascinating, if somewhat unsettling, example of how a meme can be commercialized and spun off into different forms of media. And in 2019, it came to light that the credits for Caramelldansen and its remixes had been changed on platforms like Spotify and YouTube instead of Caramel. It was now credited to the Caramella Girls.
So the original artists were being erased from their own song's history. That's not right.
It sparked a huge debate about ownership in the digital age. Who really owns a remix? Is it a new creation, or is it capitalizing on someone else's work? It's a question that comes up again and again with sampling in hip-hop and other genres, and there's no easy answer.
It's like that saying, good artists borrow, great artists steal. But it's more complicated than that when you're talking about someone's livelihood.
Absolutely. And to make matters even more complicated, a YouTuber named John Masali made a video essay about this whole controversy, exploring the history of Caramelldansen and raising questions about ownership in the age of remixes.
Sounds like a pretty interesting video essay. What happened?
He got hit with a copyright strike. The claim was that his video used too much of the song, even though his intent was to educate viewers about the very issues we're discussing.
Hold on, so they're trying to shut down discussion of the song's history. That feels wrong somehow.
Yeah, it raises important questions about who gets to control the narrative, especially when it comes to something as organically grown and globally shared as an internet meme. Caramelldansen isn't just a catchy tune, it's a microcosm of internet culture, full of creativity, chance encounters, and complex ethical questions that we're still grappling with today.
It really makes you think, what other internet hits have stories we've only scratched the surface of? And what will happen to the memes we're creating and sharing right now, years down the line? It's a bit of a mind trip when you stop and think about it.
It certainly is, and it's a reminder that even something as seemingly simple as a catchy song can have a surprisingly deep and complex history.
Well, on that note, I think we've done our due diligence for today's deep dive. We've gone from a forgotten Swedish pop song to the depths of internet history and back again.
It's been a journey.
That's for sure. To everyone listening, keep your ears open, your eyes peeled. And who knows, you might just stumble upon the next Caramelldansen in the making. Until next time. Happy deep diving.